Hey everyone, I think we should be live now. I'm just checking if you guys can hear me. Also, I feel like I don't know if you guys have the sound of the game on already, but on my side it was super, 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 super loud. So hopefully now it should be better. So, how is everyone doing? Shillis, hi. Otsajer. What? Wait. No, that's not how you pronounce that. Houtsajder? Maybe that's the correct way to pronounce it. Anyway, welcome to the stream. Guys, I hope that you're doing wonderfully and that you're having a great day so far. Yeah, is everything fine on your side regarding the setup? Are you able to hear me well and are you able to see me fine? I mean, mostly you want to see the screen and the actual game rather than my face, but just checking everything is fine. Or you pronounce it like outsider in English. Okay, so in which language would that be? That sounds to me like it's close to German, but not really. So I would say Dutch. Am I correct in assuming that? Maybe not. If I'm not, I'm completely sorry, but that's first thing that comes to me. Polish. Oh, okay. I would have had to look at the other side of Germany, but close enough for me. Zai Scheibron, welcome. Josef, yeah, we'll start to have a few people in. That's super great. Just waiting a minute, as I always do, before we'll be starting the fight night. As usual, well, now it's usual, we will have 3 different fight nights today for different levels. As you know, if you registered to the fight night, I am delighted to say that we are actually able to squeeze in everyone that registered before we closed the registration today, and actually including even 1 or 2 latecomers that contacted me because we had a number of players that was still manageable, hopefully. Maybe if this stream goes for 3 hours, I will completely change my point of view on that, but from what it looks like, we should be good to go. Okay, one thing I wanted to check with you guys before we start is how is the volume of the game on your side? Can you actually hear the music for the game? You think there should be a fight night ping on Discord? That's actually something I should think of. Indeed, I will try to make it work. Did I change the in-game sound? No, I didn't change the in-game sounds. There's been a few things I changed in the last week. Most importantly, I finally managed to get the dark mode for the chat. For some of you that may not know, the weird story about this is that the chat has always been in dark mode for me, but it was white for you on the stream, and I had no idea why. And it seems like an easy fix, instead of going into all the CSS coding, is to just edit the link that you're using for the OBS tool that we use, and just mention it as gaming.youtube.com, and suddenly OBS feels like, oh, if it's gaming, it has to be dark mode, and it makes it dark. So yeah, at least that is sorted. Welcome, Matt Remar. Okay, I see, yeah, some of you tell me that you are not hearing the music. I'm not completely surprised by that because the tool for capturing the audio is not always working fine, which means that I'm always hearing the music. But from time to time it does work for you and sometimes it does not. So that will be the next thing I will focus on fixing. Slowly we're getting there. So yeah, welcome Uzars. We have also Nadine that I didn't see here. And you should add Zombot to this deck, guy. That's a hell of a long nickname, but okay, why not? Okay, I feel like we should be having enough people, so we will be starting. Today we are starting with the medium difficulty level. As we explained last week, we're not always going to be doing easy, medium, hard, because we want people to have the opportunity to see themselves fight early in the stream as well. So this will be rotating. Today, actually, we have more people that registered for the hardcore mode than the medium one, most likely because of my absolute failure last week. My personal goal for this week will be to make sure I have a better win rate this time, even if it's not good, as long as it's slightly better than last week. I will always already consider this to be a progress. So, as you can see, well, maybe you can, it's a bit small, but today it's the army we are fighting is CD by Sunny X and Randu. Why? CD is just the short version for Cellardor, because that wouldn't fit in at one point, and because today we have two armies that were designed thanks to players' help. That's both the actual Sunny Exe for the if it's for the hardcore fight, and Randu for the medium fight that we will be going on. Or you prefer CD than Cellardor? Okay, I'm gonna make a super old and lame joke, but I prefer vinyl personally over CD. Far better memories with that, and I actually collect vinyls quite a fair bit. Even though when I was born, CDs were already the norm. But yeah, anyway, if you want to call me CD instead of Cellardor, I'm perfectly fine with that. All good. Okay, so we should be ready to go. Let's see, let's hope that everything is working fine. And I'm just checking. We should already be, you should guys be already seeing the list of players. So yeah, let's roll and let's see if we get the good account first. Oh no, that's it. How is that? How unlikely it is that this is the first thing I get in there. But anyway, we are fighting Kingo, and that's what was planned, so we're looking good so far. I would also like to point out, since we are starting, that I actually ended up finding out what happened last week and why a few players were taken out. So I want to explain what happened precisely here, because I feel like we owe you to explain what's going on there. So, what actually happened, and it's a stupid rookie mistake. When I get the list of players, we generate a spreadsheet in which you have the different players with the different difficulty levels, and I look for duplicates, right? Because that happens, quite a few of you guys do register several times for the same stream, and obviously we don't want you guys to be twice in the stream, and so I just look for duplicates, especially because since we have 3 fights, what could happen is that you would end up in the different categories, and that's the one thing I'm looking at. So we're looking for duplicates, and when I delete the duplicate with the option that is given to me on this tool, I didn't realize that it would actually delete the line on which it is. But the mistake I was making is that I had one column for the easy mode, one for the hard, and one for the medium. So what would happen is when I would be scanning for the easy mode, if it would find duplicates, it would delete the entire row, which means you would have one player that would get basically taken out for both the medium and the hardcore mode. Luckily, there's only a very few number of players that were in the duplicate scenario. So that didn't end up happening to too many players, but at least we found out what happened. Sorry for the phone call thing. That, it's not really something I could have expected to happen. But yeah, that's basically the the life of a live stream, right? Yes, finally a victory. So no, this is not the easy army. Haven't that's the medium one. We're still getting there, right? In terms of difficulty, my point is still that what I call the hard combat should be the one for advanced players. This one should allow players that are not quite there yet to be able to have a decent fight. And then you have the easy one that is really for players that have been just starting in the game and don't yet have tier 5 artifacts like you have there or stuff like this. So that, the easy level is for people that are barely getting into the artifacts worlds. So I would say, from my perspective, that quite a few players that are in there are most likely going within the next few weeks to move to the hard combat, which is expected. I mean, most of you guys have been playing for a very long time into the game, so I'm expecting you guys to be there. But yeah, that's pretty much what we're looking at right now. Hopefully, I would still be able to get a few more wins in there than what we currently have, but we'll see how things are going. I'm also still in a learning curve in terms of how far I should go with the level of the units. Like this build from Randu is a build that I could have pushed further in terms of the level of the units. That's something I will get better at as we go, and we will be slowly improving the difficulty as well. But for now, guys, just enjoy the gems you're getting from that, right? Okay, so yeah, do you guys have any question, anything you want to bring up today, anything you want to discuss? There were quite a few discussions today and already yesterday regarding artifacts balancing. So I would like to address it in this video so that you guys have a point to refer to. To us, there's a few different things when we're talking about artifact balancing. One of them is the system in itself, and that's something I already explained, that we really want to work on the system itself and make sure that the system is going to be better suited, making sure that we have less and less and less players that end up in the situation we currently have, where a lot of players just are meeting points during their progression where the step is just too big. The gap between what they can do and what their opponents can do is just too big. And that's bad, obviously, for us, because that's most likely to drive some players away. And obviously, that's something we want to work on. At the same time, we also want the progression throughout the artifacts to be better in general, because right now, as you can see with T5, so many players are just waiting to get T5, and they're getting super they have a low morale at this point because they don't have yet this T5 level that they need. And at the same time, if they were to reach this level, they would probably be okay with the way it works, but they want more people to reach that level. So we're working on the progression on that side. On the other side, the one thing we also want to do is quick balancing rework. And the thing is, when I said quick balancing, a lot of you guys were hoping it would be done, with next season, etc. And it takes a bit more time. There's a few reasons to that, but mostly we do not want to take a wrong decision, something that could impact too badly the game there. And even if most of you guys are agreeing on what should be done, you can see with the discussions that there are different opinions on how far we should go, on how long, what would be the priority between those, etc. So what we did is that we worked on a list of 5 or 6 basic changes that the game sages, but also some of the clan leaders shared with us as a good starting point. And that's what we want to focus on. It doesn't mean we will do it 100% like these players mentioned, but we'll go in that direction rather soon. Maybe already with next season, maybe it will be only with the following one, or it might be with the next era. I cannot say yet because there's a lot of testing involved, but that's pretty much what we're looking at. So you would be having rebalancing of some of the very problematic artifacts, and then you will have the actual proper rework of the system. The rework of the system is something that will most likely be happening way later, so maybe by the end of the year or something like this. That's why we want to have a quick rebalancing for some of the really problematic artifacts in the meantime. The one thing I want to mention there is that we will always be more conservative than go too far at once. So maybe the first balancing change we'll do, you guys will tell us, hey, that's a good direction, but you need to go a bit further, and we'll do that after that. But it's always going to be easier and less risky for the game to go that road than to go a bit too far at first and then tell you, oh no, we have to revert those changes. So that's pretty much what we're looking at right now. So going back to your comments there, I will first look at what was brought up there. Avenue, you were asking, you want to know anything that is coming to the game. Okay, there are a few things that are coming to the game. What I can tell you is that we're looking at some ways to have more cosmetics coming into the game, or slightly different approach to how the cosmetics are making it into the game. We are also working on ads placements. That's something you guys are already aware of, but we are now getting very close to getting that ready, at least for the first phase of that. And what it means is there will be a few more moments in your gameplay where you will have the option to watch ads. To be fair, it's still going to be an option. We're not going to be forcing you to watch an ad. It's an option. I cannot yet tell you exactly at which moment this will come. And by moment, I mean in which placement of the game it's coming. But we have a few elements that we're working on that should come rather quickly. And coming, hopefully, very soon as well, are going to be the new journey levels that you guys are already aware of. And we're also working on a new event to come rather soon as well. Not the Clan Wars yet or something very big like this. What I can say is we're working on an iteration of the red boss. So think about red bosses, but on a way bigger scale. I cannot tell you much more than that, because otherwise I will have the guys from the game design team coming my way and complaining that I should have kept my mouth shut. So I'm not going to say more, but that's pretty much one of the things that should come rather soon. And the idea for us is we have a few different things we're planning in terms of smaller events, and we want to have those coming in because the Clan Wars is something that will take a lot of time to implement, and we still want to bring something fresh to the game in the meantime, and something to keep you guys engaged, to keep your clans interested. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're looking at here. So you shouldn't add Zombots to this deck guy. I will call you deck guy for today, because that's way too long. You say that you thought that you were past the league wall until you started to face people with tier 4 artifacts. Yeah, that's pretty much the story that many people goes with. I'm not yet in the league, so I cannot complain too much, but I'm slowly getting there, and I definitely understand where you're coming from. Yeah, and the artifact leveling system and the bonus they gave at certain steps was floated from the start. It's hard for me to say, but what I can say is that from the way we're looking at it, it's a bit like the units. You know, the moment they said, hey, you know what, we're gonna change the unit structure leveling from level 1 to 15 to 1 to 150 or something like this, the thought process was, we want a more linear progression. We want people to get the feeling that they're constantly able to update their units. We don't want them to wait an insane amount of time just to update one unit. So of course it's still the case once you get to level 140 and above, but it's not much the case at lower levels, which was a bit the case before. To me, from what I can say, what we want to look at for the artifacts is something of this sort. Don't expect to see artifacts level 150 or something like this. It's not going to be something like that, but that's the same type of train of thoughts that we're following, if I can say. Are we planning to release new artifacts? At the moment, no. That might come. I don't see any reasons not to if we have a good concept for an artifact. The main reason why I don't see this happening right away for now is simply that there's enough to fix with artifacts before we add new ones. So that's mostly the way I would see it at the moment. Do I have an update about art assets from the team? Hopefully by the end of the week I should get the first wave coming your way, guys. So that's what I can say, users. I know you're really waiting to get those assets. It makes sense, and yeah, we should be able to get to that rather quickly. Okay. So yeah, we did nerf the tier 5 mythic eye and not others like spare, etc. And it's not fair. Nerf, from what I can say, it's never gonna be all of the artifacts are nerfed, because some of them don't really justify a nerf by their current power scaling, I would say. But yeah, the thing is, right now we were going with this one because this one was planned even before we received a list that we could work on with the game stages. So that's why the eye was already reworked. But hopefully for the next wave, it should include the main ones that we discussed. Evan, yeah, more ads means more rewards. Obviously, that's what goes with it. You know, ultimately, the good deal for us with ads is that it's a win-win situation, right? If you want to watch an ad, you get a reward that you would have not got without the ad. And when you're watching an ad, the game also gets a bit of revenue from it, which means pretty much that everyone is winning from it. Of course, the company that is showing their product is also winning from it. The only case in which there's a loss is for players that really cannot stand ads, which I fully understand. But you always have still the freedom to opt out of the ads and not watch it. So yeah, overall, that's something we're definitely interested in further developing. Okay, we talk about clan wars, said Yosef. What will we give to players as rewards? So I cannot say yet what would be the rewards, but the way you have to think about it is a bit different than the angle you're taking right now. The angle you're taking right now is pretty much, in what way will the clan wars help me in my progression, pretty much. The way we're thinking about the clan wars is going to be the opposite. It's how your progression will help your clan get better in the clan wars, because the clan wars should be pretty much the ultimum goal for the players, to be ranked the highest in the clan wars. So obviously you're going to get rewards for that, but most likely the rewards you would get would be things that are helping you out in the next clan wars or something like this. There would be obviously titles and stuff to show that you ranked at a certain level, but really the clan wars is something that, from the experience we have from other games, it's something people care about because they just want to show that they're the best, and there's no level as high as this. I mean, you also have obviously individual leaderboards, and that's also something we want to expand on. But for anyone that is more focused on the team efforts, we need the clan wars to be something really prominent. I cannot say yet how it's going to be integrated in the entire core loop of the game because we are still yet in the design phase, and there are different ideas that we are toying with. But really, the idea is that clan wars should be something big. To put it simply, clan wars should be something that every player wants to be part of, right? It's not like if you don't want to do the clan wars, you will never be forced into, but that should really be the one thing you want to be part of. Any news on the trading market for excessive red resources, etc.? That's something we want to implement, indeed. I will not say specifically for red resources. What we are looking at is more or less a trading system that would allow you to trade various type of resources for other resources in the game. And the idea is that there will be some randomness to that, meaning that there will be this event showing up an offer. You want to take that offer of exchange or you don't. And sometimes you will have to wait a little until you have the one offer you want for the one resources you want. Sometimes you will be super lucky and you will get 3 times in a row exactly what you want. But that's pretty much what we would be looking at. The main reason why we would like to go with a system like this, rather than just a more straightforward trading, is that straightforward trading could be a bit too easy to exploit at one point. Like if you can literally exchange any resources you have too many of for something you have too few of, it ends up being super tricky to balance on our hands because there's so many scenarios in which you could exploit it. So that's why having something a bit randomized will help us keeping that under control, I would say. Thanks for the answers about artifacts. You look like a computer, but you're not. No, you're not a computer. Actually, Tsai, you were not there at the beginning of the stream, I think, but I actually found out what happened to your account last week and why you were taken out, and that's because I'm really dumb when it's about spreadsheets, and when deleting duplicates, I didn't realize it deleted duplicates. Also, it deleted a row of entries and not just that duplicated entry, which means it duplicated also potentially a player from the hardcore and the medium mode. I see that the game has frozen for you. Just a second, guys. Whoa, I think I never reacted that fast when the game froze. So that's quite positive. Just a second there. We'll go to classic roads. Yeah, it happens from time to time. I don't know why it still happens. It's not too often, luckily, and this time I was super quick at catching it, but hopefully we'll get past that. So, is it working now? Yes, we're back. Okay. So, Joseph, you were saying that cosmetics would be the best solution, like every ranked system in the game. Yeah, I mean, we want to give out cosmetics. That's a given. If you do something like a Clan Wars, there will be something to show off. Let's put it simply. That's one of the reasons why you do such events. Of course, there will also be some more directly useful rewards because you need to find a good balance between those. But yeah, there will be cosmetics. What I can say though is that I don't necessarily see us giving like you know, a new skin every time there's a clan war or something like this to certain players, etc. Because the amount of art assets we will need to put out would quickly be quite insane. except if we link it to the era and we say, no, every time there's that era that return, you know that you will get this skin or this skin or this skin or this skin in the seasons, etc. We could work around it. I would just not necessarily expect it to be exactly that way. So all you want from the clan wars is a fair matchmaking. Yeah, the guy, I understand that. It's always going to be tricky. I would say if we are able to have a fair and good matchmaking system, even if it's not perfect, I would be fully fine with that, because there's a few things that I usually see with the matchmaking that are causing issues. The first one is that some matchmaking systems and mechanisms are not working fine when you have too many too few clans. So that could be something that is a bit problematic. Like if we want to have a super accurate and super fair matchmaking system, one of the problems we could face is the fact that we don't have enough clans to populate it. And that means sometimes longer matchmaking time, and that wouldn't be nice either. The other problematic situation is indeed, as you said, unfair matches. One thing that could help with this is already in the design of the event itself, because there are two ways you can look at clan wars, two main ways that exists. Some games are going in the direction of saying, oh, you're fighting against one clan for a certain number or a certain period of time, and we see who is the best between two of you. The other way around is to have you fight multiple clans during the event and look at the final leaderboard of all the clans to decide who's the winner, etc. With this second option, it's a bit more complicated to do technically, but the advantage is that even if you end up at one point having an unfair match, the other one will basically cover for its base image. And that means now it's not a question of whether or not you have one unfair match, but making sure that on average you end up with more fair games than anything. So that will depend on the direction we take with the game design, obviously, but there are ways we can look around to make the matchmaking as good as we possibly can. So, Evan, you're asking if we could implement more army slots. Yeah, that's something we're discussing already today. Maybe with you, not so sure anymore, in the Discord channels, but I don't know yet if it's possible. The one thing that I'm quite certain is not possible is keeping a big number of army in memory, like 5, 10, 12, 20, I mean 5 maybe, but 10, 20 armies stock. I don't think it would be possible, because the one thing we have to think about is that you have this for all the different game modes, right? So if you end up with having 10 armies, but we end up having 5 game modes at one point, or 6 or whatever, you have to multiply that. And that means at one point, we would reach a point where when you want to launch the game, some devices just won't be able to cope with the asset and the memories that you need to load. So that's one thing I can think of that could be problematic. That being said, maybe technically we still have the bandwidth to add a 4th or a 5th slot. That's something the technical team will have to investigate. What I do know for sure is that it will not be an easy thing to do, because it will necessarily make the app heavier, and that then leads us to having problems with the weight of all the assets that we have in game, and that can pretty much lead to issues when we want to release a new version, because Google or Apple will tell us, oh no, the app is too heavy, it won't work out. So yeah, that's one thing we need to look into, definitely. Hopefully we can do something there. I would just not expect it to go really over the top. The other option, which could work, but I don't see that happening on the short run, because that would be a big amount of development, would be to change the mechanic to say now you work on 10 or 12 armies, but they're not linked to a game mod. You just have 10 or 15 armies or whatever we want to define. And when you go to a specific mod, you pick the army that you want out of this mod directly. But there, that would be technically a lot more work, so I cannot really say if that's even technically possible for this game. If we can see the army we have to face before battle in Clan Wars, matchmaking won't be a big issue. I do not know yet how it will look like, but depending on the concept, if you think about the way it usually works, you actually can pick your opponent within the clan you're fighting. So if you have the option to pick an opponent in the opposite clan, you can basically just look at the clans, look at their armies, and decide who you want to fight with. Of course, you could have a guy that is sneaky and is basically changing his army just a few seconds before, but that's not much we can do about. And you would need to be super precise to even do anything like this. But yeah, that's something we will need to do something. The comment table, you're telling us, Matrima, you're telling us that the solution would be to take teams within a clan. Yes, but I don't really see that happening though, because while it's hard to coordinate 20 plus people, that's precisely what have made this kind of events so successful in literally every game ever. If you limit it to only 3 to 5, the social interactions you get will be a completely different story. Because for those that are in a very active team, it's going to be super cool. But if you go to 3-5 members, think about how many people will just end up, being picked last in their clan or something like this, and be in a team with people that won't do anything. If you go with the full clan, and some people in your clans are not doing much, the others still are free to participate however they want. But if you make it to like 3-5 people, it will be really tricky on that side. So I don't really think that's what we would be looking at there. Anyway, but yeah, you're right. Actually, I was realizing this as I was saying it, that indeed for the journey there's only one army slot, and bounty, hunter, and skirmish as well. So you can actually leave that argument out indeed. That doesn't change necessarily the fact that I'm not sure we could have like 10 or 15 or 20. But yeah, maybe we are technically in capacity to have a 4th or 5th slot. That's something we need to look into and see what is possible on the technical aspect mostly. One more in ranked and red is enough. Yeah, I mean, again, we'll see what we can do. I just don't want to say, yes, we can do that, because I don't know technically if that would be something we can easily do, I am not tech savvy enough to know how the infrastructure of the game works, and it might be that we have limitations I'm not even thinking of. So I'd rather be a bit conservative and tell you, hey guys, it might be super complicated, etc. Because if we end up being able to do that, it will just be a nice surprise for all of you. But if on the other end I tell you, yeah, okay, we'll give you a 4th and a 5th slot, but then I realize that the team tell me, no, we cannot do that, then that wouldn't be as great. Okay, looking at the winning ratio, it got up quite a fair bit. So it was very bad at the beginning, Now we are at the 30-something%. So it's not yet where I'd like for it to be. For the medium, I would probably like for it to be around 50. But I believe it's also because we have quite some players that are anyway better suited for the hardcore one. So overall, if we keep it 30, 35-ish, I think it will be a good way to do it. The comment table, you're saying, yeah, if we make it where 20 people have to participate, it will just force some swaps and the nature of change will change to clan war specific clans and casual clan. As you said, it isn't a problem really. It's precisely what you see in any game, because you have the people that want to play more casually, you have the people that want to play super competitively, and right now the one thing that is a bit weird is that the clans that want to play competitively, they can still have some people that play really casually and they're fine with it because, you know, it's just the red bosses. You can get your way through, especially now that some players are just able to take down all the bosses by themselves pretty much. I wouldn't say that we want a point where you cannot have any casual player if you want to be competitive. But the idea is, if you want to have a casual player in your super competitive clan, it's either because you guys are strong enough that you can afford it and you've already, you know, you're so much at the top that you're like, yeah, we can take some people more casually, or because you've decided that you want to have this balance and it's perfectly fine. But if we want competition in the clan wars, which is ultimately what we're looking at, the nature of the event will make it so that some people will try to make their clans the most competitive possible, while others will be like, hey, our goal is to reach that point, which is not too complicated, but still something we need to be active for. And that's perfectly fine to play a bit more casually. It's just that usually for this kind of games, if you want to play more casually, you have a different gameplay than someone that wants to play super hardcore. And if we want the competition to work, obviously the people that want to play more hardcore will play with one another. So a mechanic to reduce the discrimination would be to allow all clan members to the potential to contribute and only count the top 10 results. I think you're getting too specifics because it depends widely on what will be the actual design of the event. On many of the games I've seen, what would happen is just that you have a total score for your clan during the event. So it means anyone that contributes, even if it's super small, will contribute to the total score. So in this scenario, everyone can contribute to the power of their armies and how much time and energy and even potentially money they want to put in this. But at the same time, it means obviously that if you take more casual players, potentially you will have to fight harder to make up for the people that decided to fight less. So usually if you go with a mechanic like this, which is what you see in most games, it's still going to be something that show up. If you were to take only the top scores, the main problem in there is that you also kill the potential for outsiders. What I mean by this is that if you have a clan with the top 5 players, you're going to be top whatever if we take just the top scores. You know what I mean? Like, no matter how much effort another clan would put, they would never overcome the top guys. Like, if you have a clan with 10 top guys and 10 casual players, if you only take the 10 best scores, then you will always be on top. No matter if in front of you you have a clan of 20 players that are less powerful but have put all of their efforts in trying to overcome the odds, they would not have this option. And that's not something we want. We want in clan wars that if for whatever reason you're facing someone that is stronger than you, but you decide to put more effort, more energy, you have more active members, you should be able to overcome them, because that's what you've done, right? You were more people that were motivated. You managed to get everyone coordinated. You should be able to get at least some form of an advantage from that, even if you are not the strongest. So, yeah. Okay, yeah, so yeah, just to close the discussion, Matt, on that topic, yes, we'll definitely need more information to be able to have more educated discussions about this. Because as I said, maybe, ultimately one of my game designers will come out and tell me, oh, actually we found the concept for Clan Wars, and it will work in a way that everything I said makes no sense, Or maybe we'll have what happens in some games where you are fighting against several other clans at the same time, and not just having a matchmaking with 2 teams, but like 3 or something like this, Maybe the Clan Wars will have a slight element of PvE in it. Like, you have those, what in the gaming industry we call the King of the Hill type of events, where clans will fight to get control points over a map by fighting PvE. It's still a clan war because you still have a leaderboard and you still fight against a certain number of restricted clans. But if we were to go with something like this, then it's a completely different story, obviously. To be fair, I really doubt we would be looking into that direction, because I don't think it would fit for Battle Legion, but just to mention an example of how things could go, basically. Evan, you're asking me what's my favorite game ever. It's tricky, because there are a few games that are triggering very different emotions in me. If I'm thinking about the ones that gave me, the strongest childhood memories, that would be Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on my, well, most of the people in the world would call it the Genesis. For me, being French, that was the Mega Drive. Sega being Sega and being weird with the naming of their consoles back then, which was the first video game that was really for me and my sisters back then. So yeah, Sonic 2 was a huge one. It was back when you had no memory slots on your console, and I figured out years and years after, actually almost 2 decades after, that the moment we were always losing with my sisters, and the moment my dad would end up being like, okay, you guys spend too much time on this console for today, let's stop now, we were actually at the very last stage, right before the final boss, but we never knew, right? Back then you didn't have internet to check how far you went, the progression, you only had the ESA at recess and stuff like this, right? So that's... that was a crazy realization when I realized, like, oh, the moment we were always losing was so close from the ending. So yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog is a big one. Before that, I would say I watched my father play video games when I was like 4 or 5, and I remember him playing Prince of Persia a lot on our family computer. He was playing Dune as well a lot, so I remember that. And on my side, then if we go on with the games that really marked me, a big one is obviously when I got my Nintendo 64. So Super Mario 64 was a game changer, and I mean, it was a game changer for the entire industry in terms of 3D platformers. So yeah, big deal. And I would also say, I'm just checking. Yeah, we're not done yet with this part, but we're getting close. I would say as well on the Nintendo 64, Majora's Mask, Zelda's Majora's Mask, because it was my first Zelda. Then moving on from there, there's been quite a few games that marked me along the way. But then in the recent years, to come back to when I started to spend a lot more time playing again. In the past few years, obviously, Breath of the Wild was absolutely mind-blowing for me back when it came out, which means that in the past 2.5 months, I already spent 250 hours probably on Tears of the Kingdom. So yeah, obviously Tears of the Kingdom is big for me, and ARIETE has been super big in the past few years for me. It's already a few years old now, but definitely the best independent game I ever played. Such a crazy storyline, such insane dialogues, super smooth game mechanics. Yeah, ARIETE is awesome. I do like roguelikes a fair bit. Usually the problem I have with them is that they're quite skill based, and I'm not skilled, not that much actually. So yeah, some of them are not that great for me. Tomek, you're asking us when we will have the Easy Army. The Easy Army will be last in today's stream. As I was explaining at the beginning, we will be rotating. So every time we do the community stream, the order between easy, medium, and hard will change. This way, everyone has the opportunity to be at the beginning. Everyone will be at the end from time to time. So yeah, today it will go on last, pretty much. Okay, I will already check that I have my list prepared for the next section, because that's the section where we have the most players. In the hardcore section today, we have 85 players that registered, so that's quite interesting. And yeah, I'm really excited to see how will everyone do in there. How can I prepare to beat your army if I'm first to fight? Well, what I did is that basically the army that was available to friend fight on this account, which is the one I'm always using, was the one that would start. So for at least the last few hours before the stream. So you should always have this opportunity. And then if you're talking about the hardcore, that's pretty much always the same, right? If I use this mechanic where you have the 3 system, it's always a bit tricky. But I have a solution for that if you want. What I can do is that as soon as this section is done, I will basically show you the hardcore army, and we'll take like 5 minutes before we get started, so that in case you're first, you will know. What I will do in the meantime is put already the list of players in the YouTube description, so that you guys know if you're in the first ones and you need to rush. And I guess that should be allowing you to adjust. Yeah, just let me know if that works for you. We'll try not to take too long of a break, obviously, because if it's too long, then first of all, that means I need to find things to talk to you about. But yeah. No, I cannot call out the first 5-10 players for hardcore mode now, simply because I need the current fight night to be over. And once the fight night is over, then I can give you this the list, except if I decide not to shuffle. If I decide not to shuffle the entries, then I can already give you the first 5 to 10 members. And it might... no, actually, no, that's not going to work anyway, because I would only have your tags and not your actual name for the name I need to set up the fight night. So as soon as the fight night is over, we'll prepare everything for the next one. And actually, we just have 3 fights left, including this one. And then I will do the magic, hopefully magic, on the background. And then you'll have roughly 5 minutes for you guys to change your armies. Would it be possible to make 3 separate armies so we can prepare? You mean 3 different accounts then, right? Technically we could. The main issue is that logging in and out of those accounts isn't always as smooth as I would like it to be. So for the sake of the stream, it's always going to be better if I can just basically jump from one army to the other. But yeah, maybe that's something we can look into, see if that would work better for you guys. The advantage I would have with this as well is I would be able to play a bit more with the artifacts because I wouldn't need to stick to the current levels that I have. Like, I don't want to level up some of them right now, because if I level them up, then I cannot level them down. So there are pros and cons to both systems. But yeah, maybe we can try that for the next stream, see what works best for you guys overall. So I hope that I'm not making too much noise for you guys when I'm just taking a sip in my bottle of water, because I just ended up on a stream the other day and the streamer was the loudest drinker I ever heard, and I know how much some people absolutely hate this kind of feeling. So yeah, I hope it's not the case in here. Don't forget to look for the troll account. I looked for it, didn't see it yet, so we should be good to go. But yeah, that's something that I need to look into. To be fair, that's also something I wouldn't be... I'm a bit upset about these kind of things, like what's the point of putting in an account that you know will just screw the experience for everyone? Yeah, I'm not gonna tell you what is the troll tag. I don't want you to go and put that in, you know. Okay, so guys, we're done with this part of the fight night. So let me recheck which one is the hard one. That should be this one. Yes. So that's the hardcore army for today. Again, might not be over the top. You know how the deal is and how we're working on those things. So you guys can work with that. I give you, 5, 6, 7 minutes, whatever will feel right. You can work for that. And on my side, I'm going to be taking care of setting up the next fight night. So that's how we do it and how we give you guys rewards, because that's what you wanted. So you should all be getting your rewards now. Okay. So now I need to just recheck the amount of gems that I'm supposed to give out for this very section, because that's also one thing is always a bit different. By the way, how do you feel about this rewarding system, the structure of it? I know you will probably tell me that you would like more. That's a given. But I'm just thinking about how is the entire system working out for you. Do you think it's fair that it works this way? Yeah, just checking how you guys feel about that. So there we go. It's 150. 300 and 400 gems for win. Yes, we have that right. Now let's put in the names. Okay, let's shuffle people. Okay, you won't believe that. The two first time I shuffled, Sa was first. So since she was the one bringing up that she wanted to get some times, etc., I did shuffle a third time, the data, just because I was like, how unlikely is this? So yeah, let me now just put that in on YouTube. I can tell you already that first will be Admiral, then we have Leoplevrodon, we have Sol G, we have Gustin, and we have Nevermind that should be the top, the five first players in there. Let me just copy the list, do a bit of editing, and we'll be able to have that directly put on YouTube as well. So just a second. Yeah, the system is against. I mean, after last week's incident, I'm quite sure that Tsar now already believes that I have something against her, and I mean, you know, I would feel the same way if those kind of things kept on happening to me. I can guarantee it's not the case, and yeah, you know, the system is a bit screwed anyway for the shuffling, as you guys know. It does weird stuff that no one really understands. But yeah, I can guarantee you I have nothing against you or any player, actually, with one exception, and it's the player that tries to troll us with the account that is broken and blocks everyone. That would be the only player I would have something against, and the only thing I would have against is like, dude, please stop doing this. It's not really nice, but that's about it. So that is done. Hardcore. What was the question? To lock the army so that we can change. Hey, you know what? Let's do that. Let's do this, guys, and you will be able to get this. I will keep up the good work. I will try. I will try mostly not to keep the bad one of whenever things are not working fine. So we should be good. Let me save the changes. You guys can refresh the YouTube streaming page, and you should be able now to see the proper list of all the players. Okay, so I did the spin. You guys were able to, you should be able to fight. So I will give you 2 more minutes, and then we will be fighting. I do have enough auto spins, but we never know what could possibly happen. The fight night here is ready to go. Everything is ready in here, so we can actually go live. Yes. And now it's basically a matter of me spinning for this hardcore fight night to start. But as said, I will wait 2 more minutes. You think we should limit artifacts level? So that's from Azrael. One question. Would you mean for me and the setup I do, or for the players? Because for me and the setup I do, I completely agree, and that's pretty much what I started to try to work on too. But as said, that might require several accounts, so we'll see next week if that, well, not next week, the week after, if that's the way we could make it work. But the question is if you want to do that for the players army, so saying no player with artifacts level 5 can go into the easy mode anymore, then the main problem I would have is that the issue is that we would not be able to check. So yeah, you meant for my army. Again, that's one of the benefits we would have if I switch to 3 different accounts. So we will probably start doing that from the next streaming onwards. And I'm sorry I got distracted because you might know or might not, and that's the last thing I will explain before we start the hardcore fight night. In OBS, so the tool you use to stream, you have automated captions that are there on the screen, And sometimes I keep them in there because they make me laugh most of the time. And sometimes you end up with stuff that are completely insane because it's trying to match what you're saying with the language that your tool is set up into. And my tool is set up in French. So it's trying to make whatever I'm saying into French captions. And that leads to amazing stuffs. Right, like a few seconds ago, it was basically telling in French, problème pâté de cochon. So that means literally problems with, how would I even translate that in English? With pig meat, pretty much. It's like, what? So yeah, it goes into weird stuff like this. And yeah, this one made me laugh because it was like, why? So yeah. So sorry, the French things can be funny at times. So yeah, now we are ready. I gave you guys a total of 8 minutes. So I believe you have what it takes and we can go for a spin. So let's go. Admiral is first. So I have some hopes for this army because when I tried it, I basically had like 30 wins in a row. And I was like, okay, that's fine. There were some losses after a while. So I know that some army types will definitely kill it in no time. And I know that especially your armies, since you had a bit of time to potentially tweak some of them, could do the job, but at least it shouldn't be as easy as it was last week. And I can see already that, you know, this fight is already going on for a bit longer. Hopefully we won't go into the territory of having too many draws and being stuck there for 2.5 hours. Starting now, I mean. But yeah, at least it should be interesting to see. So I must probably tell a joke that, you know, it's Admiral was setting me into a trap because just like the Admiral Akbar would have said, it's a trap. Funnily enough, I discovered not so long ago that the initial line planned in this Star Wars scene was "it's a trick," and they switched it to "it's a trap" after the first test screenings where they actually showed the movie to a test audience that didn't feel like the line was actually spot on or had any impact, and so they switched it in post-production to "it's a trap." I didn't have the opportunity to check it, but if that's the case, then it's quite amusing that such an iconic line came after the fact, pretty much. Bootskull will win you. I mean, isn't it what I understand from the community that Bootskull is pretty much killing everyone right now, right? Also, since I was just taking a bit of water, the weather is kind of okay in France right now. It's not too warm, so it's manageable easily. But the funny thing I wanted to bring up is I'm always amused by how many brands of water there is out there, because I only went to get a small bottle of water because I needed something super fresh. And I completely forgot to put some water in the fridge today, and I knew that whatever water, tap water I would take would not last for the stream and would get super warm. So I quickly ran to the small supermarket next to my place, got a bottle of water, and I was like a cold bottle of water. And I was still shocked by how many water brands there are in there. And you could say, okay, there are many, but they are everywhere. And no, like, you know, even in Europe, if you move to the next country, You have a few brands that are international, but most of them are very regional, and there are some absolutely everywhere. Everywhere there's other brands of water. And so, yeah, that became a thing. When I travel, I'm always looking for the weirdest brands of water there is. I'm not buying it because, at least if I can avoid having to spend money for water, I avoid it. I mean, in some countries, you sadly don't really have the choice, but I try to avoid doing this. But I'm always in the search for the weirdest bottles of water I could find. And I think right now, obviously, the US leads the way with the liquid death trend. And I still don't know if it's genius or if it's evil that a guy was like, hey, you know what? People love energy drinks with their shiny cans and tons of sponsorship. Let's do the exact same thing, but for water. I don't know if it's genius or if it's evil. If you guys don't know about liquid death, it's literally just a can of water, but marketed as something super rock and roll. They're sponsoring music festivals, extreme sports, etc. Just, you know, they're pretty much the equivalent of Red Bull or Monster, etc. But it's water. In a way, it's cool because I'm sure that the athletes, they probably prefer to take some water after a super strong efforts than just go straight for the Red Bull every day. But it's still kind of crazy to me how insane this whole marketing strategy is. So yeah, sorry, that's the marketing fan in me that was there. Try to buy any water in Denmark, quite from what I recall, when I went to Denmark, indeed, it wasn't really something people did. But same goes when I was living in the north of Germany, pretty close to Denmark, obviously. The tap water we had was considered among the best in Europe. So not that many people were actually buying water, except sometimes in restaurants and stuff like that. Or really, you know, if you're in the street and it's super warm and you just need something fresh and you want water, but that would pretty much be it. So, funny caption of the moment. Right now it's telling me that marketing fans are 5 years old, according to my voice. How does YouTube generate this kind of things? I have no idea. I don't know if it's making fun of my voice, by the way. I will probably sue YouTube for that, but I want to know what's going on there. Tsai was saying that, yeah, there was different taste for different water too. Yeah, there is. It's not the same. And I will go further than that. Oh, sorry, you lost the stream. Let me check that right away. It's weird because it's always at kind of the same points in the fight night. Like it's always once we have like 15, 20 accounts in, that's when it starts to freeze. That's pretty weird. Yeah, I mean, water of different brands will have different tastes, but it goes further than that. I had a big fight, very big fight, with a marketing teacher. Because she was insisting that because it's the same recipe, Coca-Cola was tasting the exact same anywhere in the world. And same goes for some of the big brands of beers or anything like this, and all the sodas and stuff. And I was telling her that's not true. I lived in different countries. The Coca-Cola is not exactly the same in different locations. And she was like, but that's not possible because it's the same recipe. So I had to actually prove to her the next lecture. I came in with an article explaining to her that yes, it's the same recipe, but the water they use comes from different locations depending on the place where they actually make Coca-Cola for this entire country or bigger region depending on where you are. And that means the Coca-Cola will taste very slightly differently. It will also be slightly more fizzy or less fizzy depending on where you are. It's very subtle, but it's there. And she really was pissed off when I first brought that up. She was like, no, but you're saying that just to prove me wrong. You're saying bullshit. You just want to prove your teacher wrong. I know what I'm saying, etc. And when I brought the article the next week, she was just like, yeah, whatever. So yeah, no, we didn't do the easy mode yet. The guy, that will come, as Sam mentioned, after the hard mode. And it won't be that many players. If I remember correctly, let me recheck, but I think we have like 10 or 15 players for the easy mode today. 13. 13, no, 12. 12 in total. 12 in total, and I suspect one account to also be spelled incorrectly there because the tag seems way too long to be a proper tag. So yeah. Oh, Uzaz, you bought chicken soup in a bottle thinking it was juice. Oh, that must have been quite a surprise. Like, and not necessarily a good one. Like, not because of the soup. Like, you know, chicken soup is fine. It's just that when you expect it to be something else, it must be quite a bad surprise, I would expect. I had something like this happening to me in Bulgaria. So that's the moment when I will tell you a shameful story. There's a very famous monument in Bulgaria called the Monastery of Rila. And so it's a religious place, but you mostly go there regardless of your religion just because it's an amazing monument to witness. We went there and it was like 35 plus degrees outside. We were dying. And I see everyone going to a little shop just outside of the monastery and buying sodas and stuff. And I was so thirsty. I just asked for water. Bought a bottle of water for me, one for my wife, and that was it. Fresh water. Came out from the fridge. And when we started to drink, I saw a lot of people were looking at us very weirdly. Very odd looks all around. So I took my phone, I translated what was written on the bottle, and that's when I discovered that it was only water in a bottle, in a fridge. Like, why would they sell that from the fridge? I have no idea, but I ended up drinking only water. Didn't die, nothing happened to me. So yeah, that was definitely a weird and unexpected experience when buying water. Sai, yeah, you were saying that you bought Doritos in Mexico and it was very different taste. Yeah, I mean, most of the products are different in different regions of the world, simply because really often what will happen is that a brand will buy the rights to use your recipe, and that ends up leading to those differences. Like, I remember I visited Iceland, and they were explaining to us that they had some issues because a brewery bought the rights to produce Carlsberg beers or another brand of beers. I don't remember if it was Heineken, Carlsberg, something like this. But the quality services of that brand would come to Iceland, taste the product, and say, no, that's not anywhere near what we do. So you must have something wrong in the recipe. And they were checking everything and nothing worked. At one point, the brand sent an expert to visit the installations. And the expert came in, and the conclusion was that the water, the mineral water they were using in Iceland was too pure. It was too clean, so that screwed up the entire chemical process for the beer to be fermented and created, etc., and distilled, and yeah, because of the water being too pure. So yeah, those kind of things will change. Literally everything in taste. Okay, so yeah, the winning rate, not so good for the hardcore mode. We probably will need to go a bit harder next time. I would like to take this opportunity to remind you guys that we want you to send us your army. If you have an army type, an ID for us to use in the fight night, we want that. We need it. It's making the game just a lot funnier for absolutely everyone. So do not hesitate. If you have an ID for an army, just go for that. Who sells chicken soup in a bottle? Yeah, I know, right? I mean, then again, you have people that sell only water and put the bottles in the fridge. Like, you need it to be cold or fresh for whatever reason. You know, people will do weird stuff to sell something. But the worst part is, I mean, if people are buying chicken soup in a bottle, they're probably right to sell it this way. That's the reality we live in. You know, if people are buying, then you're probably doing what you should. So I'm just checking that everything is edited in there. Yes. Okay. Perfect. Okay, folks, is there any other topic that you wanted to bring up? Because ultimately, we have quite some time for that. Oh, I learned not to like this kind of builds. I feel like those defensive corner builds are always a nightmare for me. Yeah, soup in a glass bottle. I mean, again, you know, people do whatever they want, but it's surprising. If you want something weird like that, when I lived in Germany, you know, we often joke about the fact that Germany likes a lot sausages because that's part of their culinary tradition. But I was surprised by how much stuffs they would shape in a packaging that looks like a sausage, sometimes for no reason. So they were actually selling soup in a plastic packaging that was shaped like a sausage. And I was like, this has to be the least practical way of packaging soup. But they were still doing that, and no idea why. So yeah, there you go. One thing I'm not so sure about, but I wanted to investigate that. I was wondering if in all the sounds of the game, there is a Wilhelm scream hidden somewhere, because at times I feel like there's something that sounds a tad like this, but there's so much stuff's going on that usually I don't manage to isolate that sound. But that's something I will need to check with the team to see if there's a Wilhelm scream in there, because that would be quite hilarious. And for those who don't know the Wilhelm scream story, just go and check it out. It's pretty much the most famous scream in the history of cinema, but also video games and tons of other medias where it's been used. And what is mostly fun with this is that it sounds ridiculous. Like, if you isolate that sound, it's like no one in its right mind would ever put that in a movie or a game or anything at all. But it's there. And it became obviously a tradition, as most of you probably know, to put that in tons of blockbusters. It's in every Star Wars movie. It's in quite a lot of the MCU movies. I know that there was one in the Titanic. The Wilhelm scream is absolutely everywhere. And I'm just wondering if we managed to put one in Battle Legion, because I feel like there's one specific scream sound that is pretty close to it. Can the people born in EU move in other EU countries easily? That's the whole point of the EU. You are free to move absolutely anywhere within the EU. There's no classical borders. Like, if I want to go to Spain right now, I take my car, it's a drive on the highway, and the only reason why I know that I'm now in Spain is because the signs will start telling me, and usually you have to pay your highway fee right before entering the new country. But most of the time, there's no control, no border control within the EU. You can have some in specific places where they know that there's a lot of traffic and a lot of contrabands going on. You can have some checks in there. You have some countries that have decided to keep some strict border control. But in any case, as a EU citizen, you are supposed to be able to move in any of the EU countries any way you want. You want to take the plane and fly to another country, you don't need to declare that to anyone. You just fly on board. You need to have, of course, your ID with you so that they know who you are. But that's pretty much it. So it's obviously super easy to move from country to country. It's a different story if you want to move as in go and live somewhere else. If you want to go and live in another country in the EU, as an EU citizen, it's rather easy, I would say, compared to anyone that would not be from the EU. But there will be quite a lot of administrative stuff you have to go through. And most of the time, you will only do that if you already have a new job that you're going to start in this country or something like this. Otherwise, you can stay for a while, but the main problem when you move abroad in the EU, if you don't have a job waiting for you there, is that you will quickly lose the advantages that you have in your own country, like social advantages, healthcare, and the unemployment rate, or those kind of things. But you will not win the ones for the new country because you've not been there long enough, you didn't work there yet, so you don't have, you didn't pay any of the taxes that would allow you to get those services. So usually when people in the EU are moving from country to country to live somewhere else, it's because they already have a clear idea of how they will work. You want the passports to be signed. I mean, you still have this option when you go outside of the EU, but yeah, within the EU you're not gonna get the stamp. So yeah, that's one thing. But on the other hand, the good part of this is that since a lot of people are moving a lot from country to country, like in France we have a lot of what we call border workers, so people that work very close to the border. Oh, I see that the game froze again. Sorry, just a second. Come on. Come on. There we go. So yeah, if you live near the border of France and Spain, or France and Germany, or France and Belgium, you have a lot of people that are working on the other side of the border on a daily basis. And if they had to go through border control every day, their passport would be filled in a very short amount of time. And even if we were to make some exceptions for them, I much prefer having my passports with just a few stamps from part of the world that are completely exotic to me because I've never been that far and it's super different from what I'm used to, rather than to have tons of stamps from countries that I just ended up visiting a lot because they're just nearby. Like, as I already mentioned a few times, I lived for quite a while in Germany, so I'm still going to Germany regularly. I have friends that I want to see there, etc. if every time I go to Germany I have a stamp, my passport will be full of German stamps, and it's not as fun as it is when you have stamps from, you know, Japan or Mexico or something, you know, really different from where you live. That's where it gets exciting, I would say. Okay, now the game should be back for you guys, right? I stopped it right at the beginning of this battle, so there should have been no battle lost along the way. And lost, I mean, not as in I didn't win, but as you didn't get to see them. That would be the one part I'm paying more attention to, pretty much. Okay, so we have done 20 people so far out of the 84 that we have, so it's gonna be a bit long, but yeah, we should be able to finish relatively on time. In total today we have 175 players, so I ended up not having to prioritize those that weren't there last week because everyone had the possibility to participate. So yeah, that's a good number for today. Oh, that looks like it could be a win, but again, I don't like those builds. I always feel like for whatever reason, I don't feel confident with those builds. Your alternative account was fighting. Did it count as a win? I will be able to tell you that right after, but I'm not sure I can tell you right now. So your account was Amir, right? I don't have the detail yet. I will be able to tell you right after this. But I mean, in any case, if you were winning, it's gonna be a win, regardless of the freezing, because it was only frozen on the stream, but the game was still running fine on my end. You didn't receive the gems, that's normal. You receive the gems once the fight night is over. So the hardcore fight night, when I close the event, that's when all of you receive your gems all at once. Yeah, that was Amir. Okay, so yeah, if you won the battle, you will get your gems. I would say in about 40 minutes right now. That should be what I suspect from the current pace at which we're going with the fights. Except if there are some very quick or very slow fights, but that should be it. It should be a win. Yeah, I think that's what I was seeing as well. When it froze, you were definitely in a position for a win, but I cannot tell you until it's done. I cannot confirm 100% until we're done with the fight night. No worries. I mean, I'm still maintaining the 30% winning ratio. It's not great, but it's not as dramatic as it was last week. So we're slowly getting there. So funny caption of the moment. When I say dramatic, the YouTube OBS caption system believes I'm talking about a guy called Malik. I love that tool. It never ceases to impress me by how inaccurate but funny it gets. And always surprising. You have no idea where they come from with this. Weirdly enough, when I say YouTube and OBS, it's catching it perfectly. It always capitalizes the Y and the T in YouTube as it should, etc. So, yeah. Okay, folks, is there any other topics related to the game that you would like to discuss, as we still have a bit of time to spend together? And on my end, I don't necessarily have a lot more that I can bring up. If you want me to find other topics to discuss, I can, obviously, because that's why I'm doing those streams as well. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know and get things going. Also, yeah, one thing I was bringing up earlier in the stream, but we didn't go as far with this, is that we need you guys to send us your armies for the fight night. So if you have any template, any idea you want to work on that, you want us to use for the stream, share those with us. We are really willing to get better at this exercise, and you are getting gems along the way. So yeah, it's a win-win situation. Uzaz, you're asking if the next stream will be in 2 weeks. Yes. We're not back to weekly nights. I'm not sure we will go back to weekly nights, as I already mentioned a few times. There are a few different reasons why we do this, but mostly the main point with this is that we will not be able to guarantee a fight night every week, and to us it is better to have a fight night every 2 weeks, but make sure we can run it, make sure we can run the number of players we agreed on, etc., than to have one every week and tell you every 3 weeks or something like this that, oh no, this week we cannot have it run, simply because the way our team is structured is a bit different, and my function is a bit different from what Crucible was doing. So I don't want to set you into wrong expectations there. Question about the community managers. I will go into that in great details in just a second. Just to finish with Uzar's questions regarding the rhythm and knowing if we should change the weeks that we're doing the live stream into. That's something we'll see with you guys, starting with the ones in August. The simple reason why we didn't make this change for now is that next week, basically, I won't be able to do the stream no matter what, because it's basically my time off for the year. So I have no real way to do the stream from where I will be. I will still be around. You will still be answering to questions you may have, etc. But for the duration that a stream is taking and the setup that you need, it will just not work for next week. Starting the week after that, we can decide if you guys prefer us to switch the weeks in which we do it so that we spend a bit more time talking about game news. We can do that. At the moment, given the duration of the streams, I would probably then have the game news being something we discuss during the stream, as we're doing with our conversation right now, and then have a summary of that going out to everyone, rather than to have the older formal presentation, because I know myself, I will end up talking for half an hour before we get to any fight, and that means the stream will be 3 or 3.5 hours long, and that just doesn't work well. Okay, guys, so community managers. Community managers are meant to be the messenger between you and the company. This means that what you see on your end is mostly us discussing with you, interacting with you in streams, on Discord, and those kind of things. But our role obviously extends way further than that. In my case, I can say that I'm involved in most of the decision processes and the design phases for new features, the updates, etc. Not in the same way as a game designer or a product manager would. My role is to be there to let the team know, oh, if you do this, you can expect this or that reaction from the community, both positive or negative. And also to bring them your feedback so that they also readapt their roadmap and their next updates, etc., according to the feedback we receive. So this means from the work that you don't see, the biggest one is to filter the feedback I receive, because I receive a lot of feedback on a daily basis, right? But I need to know and identify what feedback is making the most sense, what is backed up by the most players, what is also going to be fitting with the current workload of the game team. So if I know, for example, that right now the team is working super hard to finish the next era and they have only very little bandwidth, I'm not going to be bringing them feedback on the clan wars that you guys want and the discussion we had earlier about how we want to do it. That would not be a good timing to do that. What I would rather do is try to see if there's any small balancing changes, any small element that you guys are asking about that we could bring up, because that's the moment when we can do it. So one of the big parts of my day is to filter out the feedback received, be able to prioritize it, share it with the good people as well, because within the game team you have people that have different skill set, different responsibilities, and I need to find the right person for the right feedback, and it's not as simple as it may seem. And then, as I said, I'm involved in the decision processes and the strategy setups for the different elements of the game, which means a lot of meetings with, my peers on the community, on the product management side, on the game design side, on the art side as well. And we just get things going from there. I also have a lot of interactions, obviously, with the support part. I'm actually helping out support quite a lot with the answering to tickets. Quite a lot of you already got answers from me, most likely in the past weeks. But sometimes I'm trying to help on the strategic level of deciding, okay, compensation. Oh, there's been a problem in the game. What kind of compensation do we give? That wouldn't be something that just the support side would decide or just the product side. It's something I would be involved in and would discuss all together. So yeah, that clears things up. That's perfect then. Also, one thing to add up is that in general, community managers are not only focusing on one game. It depends on the company and it depends on the games as well. But in my case, I'm not focusing only on Battle Legion. I do a bit of other tasks as well. I don't work fully on another game, so it's not like I split my time 50-50 or whatever. But I am also requested to work on other tasks quite regularly as well. So yeah. No, that's so mean. Why do you want to bring the win rate to 0%, John? That's not very nice of you. In one way that would mean I would get completely smashed, and so the positive side of it is that the fights would be shorter. But yeah, really, I don't want that to happen. So no, please don't go too low, please. Or if you really all want to crush me, then make sure to do it fast. I don't want to suffer. Okay, so 34 players gone. We're not even at the mid-time yet. It took about half an hour to go there. So yeah, I believe we're still there for about 30 minutes to 45 minutes because the easy mode will go super fast after that. It benefits us. Yeah, it benefits you, obviously, to bring the win rate to 0%. But also think about Sunny X that contributed with this design of army. It's not going to help him get more, so. But no, I mean, obviously on your side, guys, the point is to kick my ass. You know, that's normal. That's the point. It would be sad in a way if you didn't want to. Oh, I can see that we have a few players coming very soon in the list that were already talking with us today. I see that Annie Viper will soon be fighting. I see that Matt Raamo will soon be fighting as well. So yeah, it's quite interesting. Also, at number 56 for this fight, you will have the pleasure to see Sunny Exe fight its own team. So that will be interesting to see. What about making more custom fights? That's something I need to experiment with. I know that you can pretty much toy with anything you want in the game, but I'm not fully sure you can do that with your live accounts being the opponents, right? So I can do that on a server dedicated to this, but if I want your live accounts to be fighting that account, I'm not so sure that I can do whatever I want there. I'm quite sure there would be some contradiction there, but that's something I need to check. Oh, and that's a victory. Take that, folks. You're not gonna make me go to 0. I refuse to go to 0 win rate. I will fight back, or try to at least. So that's Annie Viper, as I was mentioning, 38. Okay, it's not looking so good, but it's not looking so bad. Might be a win for me. No, we were this close. Now it's not gonna work out. Might go into a draw though. Nope. Once the shield is gone, that was over. So I guess I'm not the only one that has some issues with these builds using these specific artifacts that makes all of your units be of one specific faction, because it becomes so unreadable for me. I mean, of course, yeah, I can see the birds and I know what unit it is, but outside of that, I have no idea what unit was on the battlefield. But at least that was a fight that was very fast. I didn't have the time to suffer. Thank you for that. It's appreciated. Okay. So yeah, going back to the custom fights, sorry, I will see what can be done there. I just have the impression that there will be some limitations that I'm not even thinking of right now, as to what can be done with the live environment. The other option I could think of is to make kind of a snapshot, as we call it, of your accounts at one specific time and have those copies of your accounts fighting me. The problem with this is that then you would need to stick to an army way earlier, and that would be a lot more preparations as well. So not sure it would fully benefit you, but that's something we could look into indeed. It's my fault if the the fights are taking forever. It's not my fault per se. It's the players that suggest me these armies. You know. No, I mean the thing is, I'm really all for any form of armies and test it out and get it going. But really, at this point, we don't have enough suggestions of armies. We have a few. I test a few. I get some things going on. But I really like to take armies suggestions from the community, because I believe it's also a way to involve you in the process a bit more. But we need more to choose from. The more we have, the better it will be. Yeah, you see, that's what I meant, outsider, that you would need a snapshot of the database. That's literally the words I used, because that's what I thought would be the only way, and that would be very tricky. So yeah, that solves it then. So we are fighting Matt Remar. He should be able to defeat this army without any trouble, but you know, we'll see. Oh well, I guess we can see already, but I wouldn't you to make my army, but you know, we're on the same boat there. You know, I don't have this experience either. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I don't care if the fight night is a bit too long. As I said quite a few times, it's okay even if it gets to be an hour and a half, 2 hours and a half, or something like this. What I just want to avoid is what we had in the first stream, where it went for like 3.5 hours, and that's, you know, not gonna work. But also, ultimately, the longer the fights are, the less people can fight, because it gets to a point where it's just too much. So yeah, that's mostly the point I can see here is the faster we can get, the more people can fight within the time frame that we have as well. But again, you know, we mentioned we have a priority list for 150 people that we guarantee will be able to fight, and yeah, we're still able every time to have a few more, so that's good. I could change the artifacts tier for medium, but to be honest, the winning rates at the end of the medium fight night was not that high, so it would be just probably a bit too easy then at this point. For tier 0, I actually had no artifacts at all, so that's what I planned. That's what I had last week, and that's what I will have today as well. Next time I will probably have artifacts level 0 as well. But yeah, for now there's basically no artifacts at all that are involved in the easy mode. Okay, Paper Tiger, you're bringing me into the draw territory, or at least the super long battles. And I think that's just a super long battle because it's going to be a win for him. Or a draw? Nah, he won. Yeah, that's cool. Fair enough, fair enough. We still have 40 players to go. That's gonna be another long fight, I think. How many profiles are on the easy mode list? 12. I'm just rechecking, but I think we just have 12 today. Yeah, 12. So it's gonna be very, very basic. And I suspect that just like last week, there's still quite a few of those that are super strong accounts that decided to go in the easy mode for whatever reason. The problem is it's super hard for us to really filter out what would happen. No, it's not going to be an easier version of Randu's army. The simple fight for today will pretty much be slightly altered version of the easy army I had last week. Yeah, so it's gonna be all dragons and with just a few tweaks compared to what we had last week. Because again, the easy one is supposed to be one where, well, most of the players, even new ones, would be able to win. Okay. So by the way, guys, now that it's been there for a few days, overall, how do you feel about the rebalancing of the wormhole? Is it still efficient enough once you reach to the high level with this unit? I mean, obviously there's a difference with what it was before. I did level this unit up a fair bit on my own account, so I didn't feel like the difference was too overpowered, but just checking out. Hi, Christian. So, RS64B, you say it still sucks, yeah, but compared to what? You mean it's still too powerful, or it's still not powerful enough anymore? It really hurts my Jormag build with bomb boots, so I'm not happy. I mean, I can get that. The thing is, this unit, it was important for us at Godspeed because it proved to us that we can still bring excitement through units, because it's not a given when you enter a game that has so many units that there's still bandwidth not only to bring new units, because yes, we can still bring new units in, but to bring excitement and change perspective on fights with new units. It was not a given. It was not something we could take a bet on. I mean, we took a bet on it with the wormhole, but we didn't have any guarantee that it would be the case. And so it was a great achievement for us to see that we were able to generate this excitement, this shift in armies design, etc. Of course, it was a bit too strong, but yeah, it's good to know. And you think that the cooldown should still be longer? That's something we can look into. For the cooldown, the main thing is we need to see, once we see the usage on a slightly longer period as well, because the one bit we really want to avoid is to nerf it just a tad too much, so that basically all the excitement from that unit is gone and it becomes something ultra specific that people only use in very, very specific scenarios. What we enjoyed with this unit when we released it is that from one day to the other, there were so many players using it. So that's definitely what we want to see. It was a bit too much, but that's definitely something we wanted to see. Yes, Christian, that's why we had to work on it indeed. Oh, it didn't affect you one bit, that guy. Then, I mean, good for you, you know. Mostly, we don't want the unit either to be pissing off players or displeasing those that don't want to incorporate it in their build. So that's why there's always balancing coming after that. But yeah, having it to be less strong against rare units or such, that's one thing we also looked into. The problem is on the balancing side that starts to be a bit tricky. But we could look at exceptions or stuff like this potentially. But you like the concept? Yeah, cool. Thank you for that. That's definitely what we wanted to hear, indeed. Okay, so Where are we on this list? Trying to keep myself aware of where we stand. But I'm not sure anymore. 49. Okay, we didn't move much in the last few minutes. We had mostly very long fights. So come on, next guys. We want you to go faster. Let's see where we go with that. Yeah, I know that the device is running a bit slow with the heavy battles, but it seems not to be the device itself. It's mostly the way I stream it that is slowing it down a tad. The thing is, at the moment, the only option I have to stream it is via the air server, and it's not ideal for this specific type of games. So I'm looking into some solutions there. But yeah, that's basically at the moment that's the best I can do. One thing that would be awesome for us is if we had a ×2 mod. That would be awesome if I could just run the battles ×2 in terms of speed. That would make my life easier, but also would allow more players to participate. That would be a win-win. But I have no idea how long that would take for the guys to implement such a thing. So yeah. Construct plus armor is a way to drag battles so long. Yeah, but I'm not aware of that kind of things. That's what I'm telling you. You know, I need you guys to tell me those kind of things. That's why we need your army suggestions so much. Okay, we have about 30 accounts to go, and then we'll be able to go to the easy battle, but this one again should be very, 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 very fast. Okay. Next time you need a bio of the army for Cellar Door. I mean, yeah. Why not? I mean, next time I must need to find a way to get fights that are done fast, no matter what. It should really be the priority until we have a system that would work a bit faster. So yeah. Okay, in the coming fights, I can see that yeah, we have Sunny Exe coming very soon. We have Said that was in the chat earlier. We also have Shelias. So yeah, quite a few accounts coming soon that we are used to see very regularly in there. Who else do we have? We have Benuzet that will come a bit later. Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's any other name that I know of that I didn't mention that I know already. I don't think so. Okay, so Karun is number 54 for that list. Sunny Exe will come at 56. Christian, what's your nickname in the game? Because I don't think I saw you there, so if you tell me what's your nickname, I will tell you if your battle already took place or not. Christian 0029, not sure. I'm trying to find you right now. I don't see you in there. Are you sure you registered for the hardcore mode, Christian? Maybe it was for the previous mod. Let me check. Let me check. Can we find you there? Oh yeah, you are in the normal mode, number 26. Oh, in the meantime, while I'm doing my research, you guys come up with the answer because you're faster than me. And this time it's not my device being slow, it's my brain. Oh, okay, Christian, so you thought pretty much that all the players would be fighting either the easy mode or all the players would fight another like difficulty level, right? And that would pick the one that had the more votes or something like this. Okay, then I mean, welcome to this new type of streams. Now you have experienced it, so you know what to expect. And so yeah, from the next stream on, you will be able to make the best out of it. No worries, the difference is not that big, so it's not going to be hurting you too much. At least, it shouldn't really be the case. Okay. But now you know, yeah, that's the idea. Now you know, but that's not an issue. Also, the streams are now every 2 weeks. So there was one this week and the week before, because we had 1 week where there was a bug in the game preventing us from having a nice experience. There was this freezing spin that prevented us from running the stream. So yeah, we decided to not have the stream that time, and because of that, to catch up, we had 2 in a row. But yeah. Oh man, that just meant less gems for us. I'm not sure to understand you. Yeah, that guy. Did you also registered in the wrong category because you thought, like Christian, that pretty much you had to pick a category that would fit all players? Come on, this fight I should win. And it's Sunny XZ. That's an ironic win if I end up winning against the one that created this build. And yes, that's it. That's a bit ironic, don't you think? Having a fight night every week would grant you more gems. Yes, but that's also why we are granting more gems per fight than you used to. Especially for the hardcore mod, you're actually getting more gems. But also that's one of the reasons why we didn't want to have the fight night every week, because one of the downsides to this system is that right now we have 12 people watching the stream live. 12. But we used to be giving gems to 200 to 300 people every week. So we had a very vast majority of people that would just never show up in the stream, not even watching the replays, because that's okay. You might not be available when we stream, but they were not watching the replay either. And so we were giving a huge amount of money on a monthly basis for the single effort of putting your player tag in the form. And actually, a lot of players are not even doing that themselves. They have their clan leader or someone in their clan that is doing that for them. And that's why it became a bit of a problem for us, because we want to value people for the effort they do. You know, the fight nights the way it originated as well, not everyone would fight every week because there would be so many players registering that the guys would just cut out at one point and that was it. Now the people just got used to this idea of I need gems every week. To give you an idea, when we started to have the stream every 2 weeks, I had people coming to me on Thursday morning telling me no hi, no thank you, nothing. The only point in the private message was, where are my gems? And I was like, but did you register for the fight night? Did you fight? No, I didn't register because when I tried to register, the form was closed. It's like, yeah, but we told in the announcement exactly when the form would close. And they would tell us, yeah, but I'm not reading the announcements. And to me, it was like, okay, so wait a minute, you're telling me that you should get gems, like it's a given, no matter what. You should get free gems. You come to me in private messages without necessarily being too polite about it, and you're telling me that we owe you gems because you didn't read the announcements, you didn't register in the form within the time frame that we gave, and we were leaving people up until 1 hour before the stream. So it's not like we told people they had to register 2 days prior or anything like this. But the few people that contacted me this way, they were telling us that they had to get gems because it's just a given. And the problem I see with this is that if we have too many players going that road, that means we are getting in the wrong situation for the game itself, because we have players that are entitled to getting a certain amount of gems per month, and this amount of gems per month that they were getting was not correlated with any effort anymore. When you play the game and you get gems, it's because you did something in the game, or it's to thank you for your loyalty, and it's to get you to play the game more. When you get gems at a point where it's just you copy paste the code, you don't even care for what is happening there, that's when we get a problem. We need people to get gems because they really contribute and participate, etc. And that's what we focus on, also because that allows us now to do, as I was saying earlier, adding more ads that will grant you rewards in the game, or being able to make some of the rewards in the game more attractive. Because with the previous format, we couldn't really do this, because why would you care about watching an ad when you can just copy paste your code and get 3 times more gems by not doing anything? That, I know it sounds a bit harsh and it sounds a bit mean, because you guys have been used to that for a very long time, and we are not planning on stopping the streams or not giving you rewards anymore. But that's why we had to monitor this. I mean, you say you can do both, but that's the problem. It's that a lot of players stopped doing both. There's a big amount of players that stopped investing in the game, either time or money, but kept going in just to get the gems. You also have players that are barely active, that just get gems every week because it's just someone from their clans that still put them in, and they don't even play anymore. And that's, to me, that's a problem, because technically they're kind of taking away from you guys, from the guys that are active. And we always said that our perspective is that if we can give you more in the game, but it means giving you slightly less outside, we will always go for the game, because that's where it has the most impact, ultimately. Okay, yeah, so sorry, I went into a long digression, so I will just try to catch up a bit with you guys and what you were saying in there. You love to see your fight and other people builds, but that's super good, and that's why you're getting rewarded, and you're showing up in the stream, and that's awesome. But there's been indeed people that just we're not doing this. And it's a vast majority of the people, sadly. You had a stream every 2 weeks in the past and a PowerPoint presentation. Yeah, so the PowerPoint presentation, as I was saying earlier, the main reason why I'm not doing it at the moment, I did it the first stream, and the reason why I'm not doing it at the moment is because with the current setup that I'm working with, that means the stream goes to 3.5 hours or even more. And that's a bit of a problem. For the compiled list of the questions that are most frequently asked, I would be super fine in having both of those things during the stream. What I mean by this is changes for the next season. I'm all fine with preparing a PowerPoint presentation that you guys can look at after. But I would rather have the fight stream start right away, right now, because they take so long. And I can discuss these changes during the stream and share a summary, a recap as a PowerPoint for the people that were not able to watch the full stream or want the TLDR or TLDW in this case version of it. For the most frequently asked questions, I would have to check how Crucible was doing it and what would make sense there. In general, as you've seen, any question that comes in the chat, I will take it. So if you guys want me to already list some questions that you had, that's something we can also look into. As said, we are still willing to improve on the format, definitely. Outsider, there are less people watching the fights because many people have few accounts, only me and Matt. It's about 25. Yeah, but you see that's also part of the problem in there, right? Is that if you guys ask us at the same time to do more streams, but have more people in it, there's a point where it doesn't work anymore, right? There's a point where we end up just giving gems for the sake of giving gems. And if you have 10, 12, 13 accounts, think of any game that would allow you for those 10, 12, 15 accounts to get 20 euros worth of free gems, free currency, free premium currency, as we say, every month. Because that's the standards we were up to at one point. We were up to almost 25 euros worth per player per month that were given out. That's insane. I don't know of any game that does that, especially to this amount of players. Like if it was 10, 20, 50 players every month and you change and you rotate them, you can give them a great number. But think about several hundred players at the core of your game getting 20 to 25 euros worth every month. And you kind of understand why also the game ended up slowly being on a trajectory where we had to change that. Because when this system was created, you had way more players. So the rotation of accounts was more natural. It was not a thing like 2 years ago that you would be guaranteed to have gems in every fight night. At least that's what I was told and what I checked when I checked the videos, etc. For the last month, it became a thing like this. Christian, yeah, you prefer to have the updates and then fight night, etc. And then have a stream every week. So I'm not sure to. Oh yeah, so Dan have a stream every week. Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with having the roadmap of future updates and such in it. The main problem I have for that at the moment is the duration of the stream at the moment. Right now we are at 2 hours and 20 minutes. We are nowhere done. So imagine if there had been an half an hour initial talk. We would be looking every week at 3 to 3.5 hours. And the problem is barely no one watches the 3 to 3.5 hours videos. The stats are going incredibly down as soon as we pass the 2 hours and a half. and getting to 3 hours mark. So we need to make sure we keep it within this. But as I said, I can easily make a presentation of the upcoming updates and amendments, the same one you used to get, share that with the community, and explain it further and answer to questions related to it during the fight night. That's not a problem at all. Because in the description of the streams, it says that the form closes 1 hour, and in the announcement it says 2 hours. Yeah, that's a mistake on my end. The announcement said 2 hours for this week. I ended up closing it only 1 hour before because I was worried that if we had too many players, we would have to go with the priority list that I mentioned, and that's a bit more work to do. But ultimately, we ended up not even needing to go that route. And Viper, I understand the point with bringing the participation in the stream higher with the PowerPoint presentation. It's true that when we have the PowerPoint presentation, the participation is slightly higher, but that's true for the first 15-20 minutes of the stream. And then if that means the stream ends up being 25-30 minutes longer, we end up losing in the overall total of streams and watchers. So that's something we need to look into. You can do a compare and contrast between Crucible's initial streams to the current ones. Actually, it's not as it's not exactly the same, because Crucible's last streams, like in the past pretty much 6 months, numbers wise, we are kind of on par. It's the same trend. It doesn't go down even with me taking over. There are small fluctuations from 1 week to the other, but nothing really massive. Crucible's stream a year ago or a year and a half ago, that's when there's been a big shift, but that's a shift in the player base itself. Like, that's the moment when there's been a big decrease in the player base, and that's the part we need to build up, but that's not on me pretty much. That's on, you know, the game design teams and the product management team, mostly, to get people back on the game. And at this point, the numbers might be going up again, indeed. Maybe do a phylactery build if you're going to do presentations. I'm not quite sure to understand what you mean there. Sorry, as you know, English is not my native language. I have no idea what you meant with a phylactery build here. You'd like to see more lore in the game. Actually, I think everyone would like to see more lore in this game. The main reason why you don't see it, to be very honest here, is because the lore on such a game ends up being something that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to be properly thought out and prepared, etc. But there's been quite a lot of studies proving that it has barely no impact on the player's retention, the player's activity, etc. Which means, really often on our hand, it's going to be the same question as you would have in any company. It's, how do you justify investing resources in the lore when you could invest that amount of money into a new feature or into cosmetics or anything like this that would actually generate more activity from the players, more engagement, etc. And that's always the tricky part, because in an ideal world, we would all love to have more lore in the game, the same way as we would love to have some of the quality of life improvement, as we call them, you know, being able to stock as many builds as you want, those kind of things. We would all love that, but ultimately, in a gaming company, what will happen is that you have to make choices. That was the fastest victory ever. you'll have to make a choice and say, okay, do we want to have a new feature, or do we put this time into something that we know will only have a very indirect impact on players? The other thing is that the interest in lore is also something that can be triggered by players themselves. As Christian was mentioning, a lot of people are actually creating lore by themselves for this kind of games, and that's definitely something we would like to encourage. One thing I didn't bring up when we were on the topic of streams and jams, etc., is that I also want to revive some of the competitions and contests outside of streams that used to take place in the community, and that's also one way to get rewards. So keep that in mind. And the reason why I mentioned this is that we could definitely have a lore writing or lore creation competition as well. I would be super happy to support that and see what you guys come up with. That guy, you're saying that phylactery, it's the artifact. Yeah, okay, sorry. I didn't realize what you were mentioning there. Okay. We could make up lore on fight nights. I mean, sure, if you want to come up with an army that you want to link your lore to, I would be super happy to even read that, definitely. Yeah, written and art contests will be back. Art contest will most likely already be back in August, and we'll try out different things, see what works with you guys, because we also want things where quite some people feel like they can contribute. But yeah, we will retry those starting in August. We'll probably have a contest every month on one way or another, and we'll see what sticks, what works best with you guys, and go from there. Okay, I think we're finally moving forward a little with all those fights. Let me check where we are. So we are right now at Mouseburger. Where are you? Oh, okay. So we have 10 accounts left. So yeah, it will be a bit longer than expected, but we're getting there. And yeah, in terms of contests, if you have ideas or suggestions, please let me know. The one I would like to start with is a battlefield contest, because I believe that this is something we could easily then implement in the game. And I'm always for any user-generated content that we can bring to the game. So that means if you guys come up with a good concept for a battlefield, I would love a few months down the road to see it being implemented. Same goes with skins, all those kind of stuff. So we'll definitely work in that direction. Yes, the guy for any build suggestions, you can send those directly as a message on Discord. You can also reach out on Facebook or on even the support if you want to, depending on what you're used to. But yeah, if you're used to Discord, that's the best, easiest way to go. Oh, is it gonna be another win? Well, yes. I'm getting a few wins, finally. Yeah, I got my winning ratio quite higher than expected in the last few fights. Okay, we still have 9 battles to go. Shouldn't be too long anymore. Still think we'll be able to keep that below 3 hours, obviously. Any other question that you would have? Any other thing I could answer to? Anything? How are you? I mean, it's a weird question to ask after 2.5 hours. Usually we start with this. But overall, I'm doing fine. As I was saying, we're still in the not too sunny days here in France. It's been a lot of storms in the last thunderstorms in the last few days. So a bit tired because the dog, one of my dogs, really doesn't like thunderstorm in any way or form. So yeah, that's basically what I had to focus on, and making sure he can still manage to sleep well. My dogs are doing okay. I mean, except that yeah, one of them is a bit tricky to deal with when there's thunderstorm, but the rest of the time, my dogs are amazing, just like most dogs, to be honest. Political storms, I know I try to stay away from the political storms, even though France is probably a year-long political storm to most of other countries' standards, I would say. Oh, 34 degrees and you're cooking alive. 34 degrees is fine. We went up to 39 last week. And yeah, I'm still happy because so far this year we didn't cross the 40 degrees. Last year was insane for that. Last year we had at least 6 or 7 days during the summer when we passed the 40 degrees. That was an all-time record. Definitely not one that we want to cross, even though obviously it's going to be happening in the coming years. Yeah, I mean, 34 degrees starts to be hot, but it's still, for me at least, it's still manageable. I mean, it also always depends on the humidity that you have in the air or not, and whether there's a bit of wind or if it's completely dry, but yeah. Hey guys, stream is still running. Yes, but not for too long actually. We just have a few accounts left. Actually, we have 5 accounts left for this category, and we will have 12 for the last category, but the last category is going to be super fast. So it's going to be, I mean, I'm saying that, and maybe it will be only draws against easy players, but I doubt so because my gut feeling is that we'll still have quite a few players that shouldn't be in the easy mode, and that the few ones that are really in the easy mode shouldn't make for too long of a fight. Ultimately, there's no artifacts on my end, so it should be a fast one. And look at me, getting closer to 50% winning rate. Maybe. Come on, take care of that archer. We're not gonna leave her destroy the army on her own, right? Yeah, I mean, 39 degrees is really, like, to me, once we pass the 35 degrees barrier, that's when I start feeling like it's too much. And the closer we get to 40, the harder it gets. If we ever get to 40 again, and it's a Wednesday evening, I'm not quite sure that you will see the stream, and we will probably postpone it to another day, because the room in which I'm streaming would probably become just fully unmanageable, especially for like 2 or 3 hours. Wouldn't be manageable at all. Okay, 4 accounts left. And then the final fight night is gonna start. I have my list here, so I will be ready to go as soon as it's done. Okay, that was a rather fast fight. See, we're slowly getting there. Napalm Death, that's a good band, by the way. Oldie but goldie, as they say. And now the YouTube OBS caption believes I mentioned the brand Audi. And most likely now I will get advertisement for cars I cannot buy all over the place. If you're living in a city and AC is required at 40 degrees, I agree. Actually, I'm good on that because I live in a city but not completely clogged with other buildings next to me. So that's definitely helping. And also we have the AC, but not at the floor that I'm doing the streams at. So yeah, it's just located in our living room. Maybe that's something we could change at one point. Okay, Lewis, we have 2 accounts to go. Look at me getting closer to 60% of winning rates by the end of this. I've never been more ready to tackle the last fight night part of the night. Now the caption part is even giving me words that I don't believe exist neither in French or English, or maybe it's a medical term or something like this, because it talked to me about megalocalypsis, whatever. It doesn't even look like night in France. It's not night right now, you know, it's not even 8 p.m. My time. Usually the night will really set at 10 p.m., 10:30. There we go. It's our last fight for this section, folks. Will I be able to remain above the 60%? I really wish so. Yes, we did it. Okay, guys, so now let's go for a rush. Let's close the event, grant your rewards, change the rewards, add the new players, get going. Let me see. Where is it? I need the... So it's 50, 100, and 200 gems. Let's go. 50, 100, and 200 gems for a win. Okay. We can add the participants. They're here. There we go. Yeah, one participant was not found. That's the one that I expected earlier, telling you that this didn't look like a proper player tag, but that's basically all we can do. Everything is ready. I can save. I can go live. Obviously, we're going to change the army because we're not going to be fighting with this. Come on, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh, come on now. What? I think my device is telling me like, dude, it's been 3 hours. You have to let me go. Doesn't want... Come on, spin, man. Finally, we're getting there. Unbelievable. Yes, there we go. We have everything. We have the auto spin. The event goes live. And we should be able to go for this final round. Let me recheck. Yes. I'm going to be adding the name to YouTube right away. And we'll be able to go. Oh, that was fast. I told you that I thought it was going to be a lot faster for this final round. There we go, adding the easy mode to the description. Okay, it should be now in. See what I told you? Level 5 artifacts in the easy mode. Come on, guys, you're better than that. I mean, at least those fights are fast, but come on. Okay, I didn't see this one coming, but okay. Again, artifacts level 5, 4, 4. I mean, that's not an easy fight, guys. I mean, that's the part for me is it might be that next time I look at all the people that are putting themselves in the easy category, because that's not that many players, and if I see that they're way too overpowered, we just skip the easy section and I put them automatically in at least the medium one, because that's unfair. See, that's an easy player trying and going for the proper fight, as it should be the case. Yeah, I mean, he has an artifact level 1, which is already quite good for the level of units that he has. That's the kind of fight I want to see in the easy fights, pretty much. And actually, I think I'm going to win this one, so. Or maybe not. Will I? I don't know. Yeah, that wormhole is doing what I expected to. So, see, when you want me to build an easy build, I can almost do a good job. Or a decent one, let's say. Okay, that's another fight I'm going to lose quickly. And we are already almost done. There's only 3 players left to go. So that was the fastest fast night ever. Actually, 2 players. Doskan, hey, glad to see you here. I know that this is a new account, at least. A newer one, at least. Cool, it's good to see. Great. Good, congrats, Doskan. And yeah, we have 2 players left, Tobaru and Toboggan. Very similar nicknames, and I didn't do it on purpose to put those guys together, but it's a bit funny. Nice. Okay, Toboggan should be our last player for today. Congrats, that guy. So wait, were you actually Doskan all along? Because I could have called you the way that I'm aware. Okay, guys, that's basically it. We've done it. I'm gonna close the event right away so that you guys can get your rewards already. And we are done with tonight's fight night. So yeah, as always, I will thank you for joining me on this trip. Thank you for the time you spent with us tonight. Thank you, Doskan, for letting me calling you deck guy for 2 hours and 45 minutes when I could have called you by your name from the get-go. And yeah, we'll see each other in 2 weeks' time. We'll be improving again on this streaming. This time we'll try to have several accounts so that we can have different levels of artifacts. I will be waiting for your army suggestions, so make sure to shout that my way, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Bye!